Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at S.O.B's here in New York City. The Cornel West Theory is an amalgamation of poets, preachers, artists, and intellectuals who have come together to put all of their thoughts and ideas to the form of jazz, hip-hop, go-go, country, you name it. In addition to that, they got the blessing of Dr. Cornel West, a noted author, activist, and professor at Princeton University. The upcoming album, The Shape of Hip-Hop to Come, really goes back to the days of classic conscious rap of Public Enemy, KRS-One, and even the rock group Rage Against the Machine. Tonight I'm going to sit down with Dr. Cornel West along with a couple of members of the Cornel West Theory, and tonight you're going to hear selections from their brand new upcoming disc, The Shape of Hip-Hop to Come.
Lived not too far from me in Milwaukee. I was working in the breweries, and I go
An old man once told that when the sun rose to speak, the ground seep mud and my beloved still weeps. A cannon goes off in the streets. Police found a pistol gun light. Turn off the all-night vigil where the devil preached the sermon. The sky's burning. Book of Eli tongue. Jeremiah's
The Shape of Hip-Hop to Come. This is the second project from you guys, and tell me the direction that you guys are going, because this is the sophomore project, and it seems like your fans want more from you as far as consciousness as well as development of issues that are going on.
One, I think there's no doubt that you could see Second Rome was already on such a high level. Shape of Hip-Hop to Come is in the stratosphere. And the response of the crowd, and keep in mind, this is a New York City crowd. This is the most difficult crowd in the nation. And the response tonight was just, it was mind-blowing to me. It was overwhelming. So I think what we actually have is the beginnings of the breakthrough that Cornel West Theory been looking for.
When you guys were going into the studio, what was it that you guys were thinking about as far as content?
As far as content, I think what we decided was, why not just write songs about almost anything? You know what I mean? Why do things all have to be political? Why do all things have to be non-political? So we took a lot of different roads. We wrote songs about love. We wrote songs about DC. We wrote songs about politics. We wrote just kind of tried to create a wide variety of things. And I think this ultimately album will kind of feel like a jukebox of experimentation, of kind of regaining some of the understanding of where we came from. It's kind of like the future, the past, the present, all being presented in this kind of interesting jukebox kind of fashion.
Because when I listen to this project, I think of a lot of Rage Against the Machine. I hear a lot of Chuck D, Public Enemy. I hear a lot of Gil Scott-Heron. This is something that I guess the next generation of hip-hop has got to kind of gravitate to, don't you think?
No doubt about it. In fact, there's a sense in which the hip-hop world has to catch up to the Cornel West Theory. And by catching up, meaning Cornel West Theory sets a standard because it's so rooted in the best of the past, but has the creativity and the boldness to move forward. And that's what you find on the second album.
insanity, comic, tragedy, narcissist, spiritual arsonist, stovetop stuffing, loving death in the oven, self-indulgent, overtraining, praise, taking door, make the product soar, and product goes, but the product is raw. Same glance with the rain, from the food to the green, my brain, from getting you great, the baby war. Ready to the room, the bomb over words, strength being love, but surprise and words, down the house beats, fucking rising, calling.
When you were recording this, what were some of your feelings as far as the last decade? I mean, we've dealt with Bush, we dealt with the new administration. You guys are hitting a couple of issues that are kind of pertinent for what's going on in society right now.
Well, the album starts with a short sermon by Yvonne, and the first song is called Type 1, Change, which in some ways breaks down our concept of what Type 1 art and information is, which is basically a genreless genre. And then her sermon kind of breaks down some of the past, the present, and the future of what change means, not only socially but artistically. And I think ultimately with Second Rome we had a very definite idea of what we wanted that album to look like, a really specific storyline. With this one, it basically took on an unconscious storyline of just change. Change from the past, essentially change that we can bring about, but then also the change that is being brought about in the world regardless of whether we're here or not, you know. So there, a lot of those things are being presented, and essentially the theme of the album, I would say, is change. You know, that's a word that was thrown around quite a bit. But you know, we're big fans of Octavia Butler, and in our first album was inspired by her book, The Parables of the Sower. But then also the other most important theme of that book is about change. Is the central character is creating, I guess you could, for lack of a better word, a religion based on change as a god. And in a way, this album kind of took on some of those aspects of that, I would say.
You guys formed in 2004 in Washington, D.C. Dr. West, how did they approach you to use the name and incorporate your name into the concept of the music that they're doing?
No, Brother Tim Hicks showed up at a book signing that I had in the Chocolate City in Washington, D.C. for Democracy Matters 2004. And he was in line. He waited till the end of the line very patiently and lovingly and said he had this group and that he had Cornel West Theory, whether I thought it was all right. I said, my God, I'm humbled by them being, I told him I was unworthy of it, but at the same time, to be able to bring the best of the musical tradition to the best of the spiritual, political, social, and economic struggle, I was just overwhelmed with delight, and have been for 7.5 years, because we've had some good times. Because keep in mind, I mean, the band is the band, and I'm just blessed to be along on the ride. I have magnificent times with them in the studio. I learn from them, I listen to them, I'm inspired by them, and like tonight, just makes me want to break dance.
And you guys have incorporated different types of genres, go-go, funk, rock. How is that with your fans? I mean, what is the response from your fans?
Well, I think, we live in an iPod generation, right? Everyone, if you go to anyone's iPod, it's filled and filled and filled to the brim with so many different styles and types of music. I mean, there's no reason that we need to be trapped in genres. People are ready to hear anything and different things as long as it has integrity, as long as it has honesty, as long as it has an energy of sharing and communication. As long as we're not really trying to beat people over the head with a really specific message, I think people are, I know that people are open to what we're doing. And I hear other artists experimenting nowadays with a lot of different, for example, there's one artist I love, her name is Tune Yards. And she does this kind of African meets folk meets electronic meets beats it's everything, but it's so pure, it's so natural, it's so her unique voice that people just accept it, you know what I mean? And I don't, I don't think there's no reason that people shouldn't, really, as long as it's a pure expression.
It ain't nothing but what radical democracy looks like in practice, which has to do with those stone cold everyday people having a dignity and a decency so that they're able to live a life that flowers and flourishes. Do you know what I'm talking about here at S.O.B? Do you know what I'm talking about? That the music is not some ornamental and decorative element. It constitutes who we are. It's a whole way of life. It's a mode of existence. You're willing to live and die for the music. That's why John Coltrane means so much. That's why Curtis Mayfield means so much. That's why Bob Marley means so much. That's why Donny Hathaway and Bruce Springsteen. You have to come on some time too,
In closing, what does hip hop mean to you, Dr. West? And what does hip hop mean to you?
See, in the end, hip hop means the same thing, the spiritual, same thing, blues, same thing, jazz, same thing, rhythm and blues, which is, it's a soul music, and soul is always the sharing of a soothing sweetness against the backdrop of a darkness that allows the people to keep keeping on. But each generation has to define the soul for itself. And the best of hip hop is soulful. When hip hop is fake and counterfeit, it's blasphemous in the name of the slaves who created the spirituals, in the name of Muddy Waters, in the name of Louis Armstrong, in the name of Curtis Mayfield, in the name of Aretha Franklin, in the name of Donny Hathaway, in the name of Anthony Hamilton.
Hip hop to me, it started historically as a tool of communication for poor youths who had no access to music lessons, no access to music equipment, but knew that they wanted their stories to get out. They knew they wanted to have a sound out there that represented what they were feeling, because nothing at that time was truly representing, their angst, their joy, all these things. That's what it started as, and over time it mutated and grew into what we know today as this really multi-leveled and layered expression of art. But the problem is you have the mainstream, which kind of chops and divides things and segments things. So you encounter people and they think that hip hop is this one thing. And and I'll know, and someone else will know, like, no, there's this guy and that guy and this guy. They have absolutely no idea. So to me, hip hop is just simply a unique voice, not only of just black people's, but poor people's, of people that don't feel that their heart and their ideas can be expressed in some of the ways that music expresses them. And it's also a culture that allows people to express themselves in a unique fashion. I think that is in some ways diametrically opposed to this American culture that's been forced upon so many people. It allows them to have a unique presentation when they feel like they've been so disenfranchised here.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report, reporting live here at S.O.B's here in New York City. I'd like to personally thank the Cornel West Theory, as well as Dr. Cornel West for their time, as well as the staff and management here at S.O.B's. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.
Don't